and saying, oh, you're really beautiful, can I buy you a drink? And that what you have to do to set yourself away from the pack is to sort of not be so obviously complimentary. So you come up and you almost sort of pay her a backhanded compliment, or you almost neg, as they say something slightly negative. So what you might say is, you might go up to her and say, oh, I like your shoes, I've seen another girl wearing them in the club, right? And the theory is that she's sort of, she's a bit taken aback, she's a bit sort of thrown off, and then of course you start complimenting her. And you start building her back up again. It's very elaborate mind games. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but we've been talking about the neg, and I was chatting to a girl, and I was a little bit drunk, and I wasn't thinking it through, and I thought about the neg because it wasn't going very well. But I don't think you should say to a girl, I think your ears are a bit too big for your head, because you know what I mean? It's like you can't come back from that, and there's nowhere else to go, because that really is just an insult.
Oh, he's only gone and listened it down the little fucking car.
That jingle, of course, signifying yet another reading from Carl Pilkington's diary. As always, packed with rich insight into the man's mind. Had a late night last night because I stayed up to watch a programme about monkeys.
It's already good!
Of course it is.
It's already good!
Now, before I read on, I mean, is this not some kind of monkey news? Is this not a late return to monkey news?
Well, it's not that good.
Is it not? Whereas the other monkey news is...
Oh, chimpanzee, that's some more shit!
This is what he says. This is what he gleaned from the programme about monkeys. It sat on a bridge and wanted stuff off people to walk over the bridge.
What?
So it was acting as some kind of toll booth,
This is ridiculous.
No, it was a bridge in like the jungle.
Oh, shut the fuck up!
And it's a monkey that sat on a bridge, and a lot of tourists go through the area.
No, it's a monkey
look up them.
who realised that if he sits there, he'll get stuff because it look like it's a cute little chimp begging.
No, but every time.
Yeah, because you give a monkey, I'm bad as him now. If you give a chimpanzee a banana, and he starts realising that humans have things to give.
Yeah, but it's all
squirrels
sorts of
learn
stuff.
that. But you don't go, you wouldn't say, went to the park, the squirrels waiting at the gate. You have to give them a toll to go in. They're only going to give them a nuts. They come up to you every time. You fucking idiot.
Went to bed after watching it and fell asleep thinking about it on the bridge right now. It's a bit bad, really, because the monkey should work harder for its food. It made me remember the poo. Nobody would ever help a slug with food like they do with ducks and monkeys. A slug's life is pretty bad. The only time they come out of their den is when it's raining.
Den.
So even their days out are depressing.
It is. Do you know what I mean?
No.
It is like, it's a horrible thing to be, innit? A slug.
I love him talking about what is it like to be a slug.
No, just because like the monkey, even though it's been quite aggressive, everyone was like, oh, give it some water, and it was well like kitted out. It had like, chocolate bars, bottled water, some like, fizzy stuff, and all that.
An iPod, it was listening to Monkey News.
He could have had one if he wanted one. It was getting away with murder on that bridge, and that's just because it was furry. Yeah, if that was like a blob, like a slug, there's no way people would be that friendly towards it. And it just annoys me how you get this pecking order for like, no matter what creature you are, favouritism. And that slug was only eating that bird poo because it wasn't being offered stuff.
If it was offered toffees or whatever.
Well, it's just sad, isn't it? It's come to that. That's what its life has come to.
Yeah, but it's not. As mollusk
like
that's down on its fucking luck.
He didn't live in a big country house,
No,
and his
but
wife
it
left
is.
it, the kids went, it started hitting the bottle.
And I kind of thought, and look, they do only come out in the rain, and it's depressing, and it'll probably get killed in a bit, and that was its last meal. I just...
Last meal!
But it wouldn't prefer steak and chips, Carl. It doesn't have...
It must like a leaf or at the end of the day, it's an insect. They love
It's not an insect.
Well, it's part of that gang. It's part of that... No, it's part of
They
that...
hang out together. They hang out together.
Why do you think it's part of that
Because
gang?
it knocks about in the woods in the same place as a spider does. But what I'm saying is they're eating boring stuff because that is what's
It's
in
not
their
boring
area.
stuff to them. They're not. I have no opinion of it at all. They take in sustenance.
No, but where you are is what you eat. When I'm in London, I'll have beans on toast for lunch. On holiday, what? Tapas? Go on, I'll have a bit. So it's whatever you eat, what's in that area.
Suzanne went off to work and I went to the shop to buy some envelopes. The shop was empty, but the fella behind the counter was on the phone and just kept talking even though he could see I was waiting. I started to count backwards from 20. When I got to 6, he hung up and served me. I won't use the shop again. Question, why count backwards from 20?
So he's thinking, what's going to happen at 1? If I start counting from 1, he's going, well, let him carry on.
What, out loud?
So, not really loud, but like more of a mouth action, so he could see who was doing it. You know, like
Sorry, you just started miming counting backwards to a man in a shop.
he's on the phone. The
Yes.
shop is empty. I
Yes.
thought he'd like me custom. He could have served me and stay on the phone. Even though I don't like that, at least he's still doing what he needs to do.
I'd have said,
working the
sorry,
shop.
can I just get these, please?
Yeah. Well, I stood there and I thought, it's annoying me now, my kidneys aching, and I started to get a bit of a sweat on. So I thought, right, I'm going to give him 20 seconds, and if he hasn't got off the phone, I'm leaving. And when I got to about 6, he served me. What's wrong with that? Again,
You are
giving
one of the
yourself,
strangest people.
it's just giving yourself a thing. I could have been stood there for
Free.
ages.
He's one of the strangest people who's free to walk
Yeah.
It's
the
about
streets.
no. I set myself a little target, and I thought I don't want to waste another 30 seconds in here. I'll give him 20. It worked. He served me at 6.
But it didn't work. Yeah, but did he do it because you were doing that, or did he finish his phone call?
I don't know. I was busy counting.
Looked at what's been going on in the world. There was a human head attached to a seagull's body in a jar.
Is that all it says?
This is the sort of weird stuff that goes on behind surgery doors. I doubt it ever flew because the head would have been too heavy.
Well, of course it wasn't. It didn't happen. It wasn't live.
No, but they try this stuff, don't they? That's like that program I watched with a
Well,
monkey's head
who
on.
has ever tried to put a human head on a seagull's body?
They've done loads of stuff like that. It's part of us moving on, isn't it? It's-
What are you talking about?
I'm not going
Carl?
to get into argument about
Well,
science
you're
because
wrong.
it's all
Don't
behind
talk
closed doors.
shit.
How do you think we can change a heart now from another body? You have to try things out. It's trial and error. All sorts of weird stuff goes on in hospitals, but we let it happen because it's to help us out in the long run, isn't it?
But what are they aiming towards when they're going to find out if you can put a head on a seagull's body? What is that? What are they want to learn, and how do they want to apply that knowledge? A new heart is obviously for a reason. It saves a life.
Yeah.
What is this to save money on transport? Instead of getting a bus pass, you go, can I put my head on the seagull's body? I go, well, it won't work. We'll try it.
Yeah, but there is odd things like that. Like I saw a fish the other day, right?
Right.
And honestly, it's the weirdest thing. It was just like a blob with a face. Now I would never have said, yeah, let that swim about. I'd have killed it from day dot. I would have gone, get rid of it.
Oh God! Under what circumstances would you have killed that from day dot?
I'm just saying, looking at it, I'd say that does not work. And it looked sad. It looked like it didn't want to be about.
Have you got her number?
Oh God! Oh God! Well, that's it for another week. The end of episode 5. One more to go in this series of 6 of the Ricky Gervais Show. We'd love you to buy Carl's book because it is genuinely interesting and funny as a you know, just as a social experiment to see that, you know, proved Carl's theory wrong, that a monkey can write a book. So it's bye from me, Ricky Gervais. Goodbye from Steve Merchant.
Goodbye.
And goodbye from the little shaven monkey that is Carl Pilkington.
Audible hopes you've enjoyed this programme.
Hello and welcome to the last in this series of 6 of the Ricky Gervais Show with me, Ricky Gervais, Steve Merchant.
Hello.
And Carl Pilkington.
Alright.
Carl, as you're aware, you've obviously got many celebrity fans. David Bowie is a fan, people involved with creating The Simpsons. And you've also got a new fan, Warwick Davis, who is the short actor that many people will see in films like Return of the Jedi. He also is in Harry Potter. He's 3'6", and Ricky and I worked with him recently on extras. And far from asking us about the many celebrity names that we've worked with, the only person he was interested in talking about, of course, Mr. K. Pilkington.
He wanted to meet you, Carl.
Yeah. Well, is he all right to get on with?
Why wouldn't he be?
Just because sometimes when people aren't normal, it's just.
Sorry?
No, I just mean when someone, like, I've met a few little people in my time. The one that I met a little fella once, and he was all right. He got drunk really quick, but he was all right. But it took me by surprise, only because, like I've said about when I met Steve for the first time, it's only that same thing. And then if I lived with the little fella, I'm sure we'd get on a storm.
What do you mean when you met
There's
Steve?
a TV show waiting to happen.
What do you mean when you met Steve for the first time?
No, we've done it. You know, when he walked in, it just a bit of he's different. But then I see Steve every week, and you know, the same way I say I like watching Elephant Man. From the first time I watched it to the last, totally different. When he walks in the first time, it's like, oh god, look at that. It's a mess, isn't it? When I watch it again, it's kind of like, oh, here he is, here's John. So it doesn't. Things wear off. That's like the world, isn't it? Things don't amaze you as much as you see things and you use things often. And it's the same with the little fella you're talking about. First time I see him, I'd be a little bit like, oh, what do you say? You know, what shouldn't I say? Whereas once you get to know him, I'm sure he'd be a lovely little fella.
I don't know where to start, Steve.
Well, Warwick, I think, suspected as much. He's offered you an interesting fact, actually. You're wearing headphones now. Apparently you wear those headphones for just 1 hour, and it will multiply the amount of bacteria in your ear by over 700 times.
But why is he worrying about that?
Well, he's not worrying about it. He thinks it's of interest to you because you're wearing headphones. It's part of your profession.
You wear headphones, yeah.
But Warwick asks, really, what are your thoughts on short people, particularly in entertainment? Because, of course, they've, throughout the ages, made an appearance, particularly in fiction. Tom Thumb, of course, the Oompa Loompas.
What do I think of them?
He's just wondering, I suppose, what your take is.
They're all right. I mean, when I was on jury duty, when you go in the morning, you have to go into a big sort of waiting room, and every day I'd sort of see one pop in, and he'd be sort of struggling getting on the chair, and it was kind of something to watch. It was different. That's what's good with things in life. If you look at stuff and you go, oh, look at that. And seeing him struggle on the chair, he was happy. He wasn't struggling in a way that he felt uncomfortable. He'd obviously climbed a lot of chairs in his time, and this was just another one. And watching him, it just makes you think. You go, I should appreciate that I don't have that problem every time I have to sit down and what have you. But I don't think it's that bad. If I had to pick being really tall or really small, I'd go for the really small one because, the world's a more interesting place for him, isn't it? Everything's bigger. Do you know what I mean? We go to New York and go, wow, look at this. And they go and they go, oh dear. Do you know what I mean? Everything's a lot bigger. Everything's more amazing. Food portions. Everything's a bonus. So out of the two, I'd be small, and maybe that's what I'd chat to Warwick about for a bit, just to get to know him.
Brilliant.
It's a shame in a way that he's not being able to pop in. I'd like to hear that conversation.
But I've got, speaking of like weird stuff and that, I've got a new...
Well, we weren't, but go on.
No, got a new book. Do you know I had that Freaks book? The Top 50 Freaks. Got a new one sent to me.
Really?
Yeah, and do you know like everything normally has a name? So like if it's the two-headed fella, they're all nicknames like that, aren't they?
They've got two nicknames, I imagine.
But this new book I've got, right, on the cover of this one, it's got like a woman with 3 breasts, right? And she's called the three-breasted woman, as you'd expect. And there's what else was in there? There's a fella, the one face.
Why is she posing nude though? That's what I want to know.
showing off. It's not the worst disability, is it?
Well, just 'cause you got 3 doesn't mean you have to get them out for the
Oh,
lads, does it?
Tart.
I know.
well, she looked happy. And there was a fella with like one face but 2 bodies.
Doing one face but 2 bodies.
One face, 2 bodies.
What do you mean
It's
one
weird.
face, 2 bodies?
Surely one head, 2 bodies.
Ed as well, but it was mainly the face that was weird because he looked fed up. He sort of,
What are you talking about?
What are you
have a
talking
face
about?
without a head?
How can you have? What do you mean? How did it join to the neck?
no, it did have a head, but the fact is, it was weird that it had one face to me.
What do you mean?
Well,
if you've
of
got
course
one
it had-
head, you'll
yeah.
have one face.
Yeah, I know, but it was the fact that he had one face and 2 bodies that I didn't think.
But
one
why do you
head-
keep saying one face and 2 bodies as
Why
opposed
not
to
one
one
head?
head and 2 bodies? We're all the man with one face.
Yeah, but now I've got one body.
Yeah, well, surely he's the man with 2 bodies then. Again, the description.
Roll up, see the man with one face.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
He's just got like a face and then one neck, and then it splits off into 2 bodies. It's really weird.
It
Honestly, it's
doesn't.
weird.
Was
It was ages ago.
Well, no. No, it doesn't happen.
So it's full of stuff like that, right? And what I'm saying is that fella, you know, the one-faced man, the 3-breasted woman.
He wouldn't be known as the one-faced man, is really a thing about him.
No, well, they all had names like that. But
Right.
there was one thing in it that didn't even have a nickname. It was so weird.
What do you mean?
It just said unidentified.
What does it look like?
Sort of testicles for eyes. That's. It just reminded me when you
What
talk
do you
about
mean
strange-
testicles for eyes?
And what is it? Do they have a normal body?
I didn't even look at that.
Oh,
No,
so
that's what I'm saying though. You're attracted to the oddness of the thing, and that's what I was saying about Warren when he walks in.
Warwick.
You know, it'll be odd for a minute, and then I'm sure
For him,
He'll
for
get
him it
over
will be. Yeah.
He'll get used to you.
you know. I mean, like I've said, I'm surprised that things like that don't happen more, because especially after being in hospital and seeing how the body works and that.
You
How
have no
does
idea
it-
how the body works.
No, honestly, I've got me
Right,
around
you
it a
have
bit.
no idea. You've learnt nothing.
I've got me.
You've learnt nothing since the age of 7.
I've got my head round it a bit more, and the way that there's loads of people in the world, and yet you don't see people with like dangly eyes more often. It amazes me.
I love the fact that he's amazed by not seeing things.
yeah.
It's incredible. He's walking down the street going, oh, everyone's got one head. That's
Yeah.
weird.
Suzanne, see any dangly eyes today? No, me neither.
It's weird, isn't it? What's going on in the world?
Warwick's not been the only correspondent. We've had a number of people. Remember years ago we used to encourage people to send in questions, and those questions have been drifting in ever since, really. Just things that people want to throw at you, see how your mind works, Carl. Do you mind answering a few? I suppose you might loosely term these philosophical questions, or at least questions that might help you think, ponder on some of the bigger ideas.
This is your forte, Carl. Philosophy, isn't it?
Question 1. Carl, are all men born equal?
Well, we've talked about Warren.
Warwick?
Say if like the Pillow Man, right, the fellow with no arms and legs, if everyone was like that, he wouldn't be. That wouldn't be a disability. He'd be equal to everyone else, wouldn't he?
When someone fights for equality, it doesn't mean they want to be treated literally the same. For example, it's usually about a prejudice, isn't it? Or a lack of opportunity. If you were... just to think of equal opportunities in terms of a job.
Yeah.
If you needed someone for a lookout on a lighthouse and a blind person went along, they couldn't do the job. Whereas if it was listening for stuff and you didn't give it to the blind person because you were worried about don't know, blind people, that would be imposing a prejudice because he could hear as well as you. So if he was the best for that job, he should get it despite his other disability.
But I'm pretty sure. Yeah, your ears are important in a lighthouse.
I'm pretty sure he's come down on the wrong side of the argument, Steve.
Keep going.
Go on.
No, I just want to hear it, you know.
I mean, if they want to go for any job, go for it, but then don't moan if you don't get it. That's all I think.
Is
Yeah,
that your equal opportunity statement?
That's your statement.
Well, I don't